Hi, everyone. Welcome to another fun TLN webinar. Today, we are going to be talking about financial literacy with Ted Lakitis, and I'm going to let him take it away.
Well, thank you. Thank you, DJ. Thanks to those of you attending. Take the time to learn something about a little more about our program. We started doing library workshops back in 2011. So for quite a while, we've been working in this field. A few years ago, we witnessed something rather unusual, a little story that I think you should be able to relate to. We used to do seminars. Typically in library seminars, we get anywhere from 5 to 15 people attending. And that's how it is. We were doing a seminar in Rochester Hills library, I forget, about 5, 6 years ago. And we ended up with 40 people. 40 people showed up to listen to a presentation. It was stunning. I had to look back, and I did go back to the librarian, the lady that was in charge of the programming. And how do you get 40 people as opposed to the 5 and 10 that we normally get? And her answer was that they have, as a library, established a prohibition. They prohibit people from soliciting as part of the workshops. Now you can say that, but they apparently are very, very firm, and they only allow people that are not salesmen. So they screen their presenters very tightly. So we saw that, and we then began thinking that, I mean, we've been doing that approach all along. It's just that nobody realized that we weren't selling when we were educating, because that's what we don't do that. So we dug a little deeper and found that the American Library Association has established, they did a piece a while back, analysis by some other professionals or consultants, and they built the guidelines for how to set up personal financial planning workshops in libraries. And I think if you've all received, and DJ, I think they've all received the document. In there is a section of section 6 of that document that explains it. So we took all of that and we realized we could put together a program to maybe open this up to and educate and familiarize as many libraries as we can, or librarians. And that's how we built the Pharos Library Project, which hopefully you've had a chance to review before this. So we're part of the Rochester Christian University. We have a relationship with them. We are a nonprofit ourselves, but we have partnered with them to bring financial literacy to the community within the university, as well as the community at large. So if I can get my clicker working here. So it has to do a lot with the imbalance that many people have between income and spending. That imbalance creates stress, financial stress. It's a very serious problem that obviously we all realize it's happening, and nobody seems to be able to have an answer other than lecturing people how to do things better. Well, that's not enough. But the end result is that people that are in this condition experience what is now being referred to as personal financial fragility. And here's some statistics that bear that out. Price Waterhouse every year does a survey of financial wellness in the world, in the community, primarily talking to employers and their employees. And they find that 34% could not come up with $2,000 in a 20-day time frame. 46 do not have $400 of their own. Maybe they can borrow it from somebody, but not in their own accounts. And 49 carry balances on the credit cards. As I go through this presentation, as an aside, I think, DJ, you're going to monitor chats, right? If somebody has any question, feel free to send your question to DJ, because I'm not going to stop and ask for questions as I go, unless there is a question, and then we'll stop and talk about it. Or if anybody wants any amplification on a particular topic that I'm mentioning, that I'm bringing up, please tell DJ to intercept, to stop me and let me go back to that point and kind of maybe embellish on it. My presentation is timed to about 30 minutes. So that'll give us another 5, 10, or 15, depending how much time there is that you folks want to take to ask additional questions. So that aside, let me continue. The American Psychological Association similarly found in their survey that 45% people lie awake due to stress. They stress about retirement, and they worry about healthcare costs. And that's a vicious cycle. If you worry about healthcare costs, that means you probably are not going to the doctor because you have a problem with the copay or the deductible, assuming you even have a plan. And all that does is creates even more stress, which it just kind of builds on itself, snowballs, which is terrible. And it's real in real life. I mean, that's why so many things at the government level are being done to maybe ameliorate or take off some of the pressure off of people in those sense. More likely today, what we see with younger people is student debt is really taking a toll. 64 find it difficult to meet monthly expenses. 48% have credit card payment problems, and 3/4 are stressed about their finances. You know, you graduate, you get a degree, now you're looking forward to a career, a job, making money to earn a living, and you got this ball and chain that you're dragging along with you, where you got to make another $400, $500, $600 a month payment for your student loan that you took out. I mean, that's got to be worrisome and got to be a stress factor for the folks that are bothered by that. So what ends up happening is we call it the domino effect. If you do not understand personal economics, you make poor financial decisions. That creates problems with no easy solution, which in turn leads to financial stress. And the reality is today, financial stress hurts individuals, their family, their organizations, and the community at large. So it's not an isolated situation. This personal fragility affects people's life and career from the perspective of productivity and job stability. Now, when people hear the word productivity, their antennas go up. They're thinking it in the context of management, trying to beat down on the employees to get them to do more with their job and whatnot. Well, it's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that have a job, that know what their job should be and maybe aren't performing for any number of reasons. What they miss and do not understand, and I think most of us need to be reminded of this from time to time, working is an exercise of exchange. We exchange our 8 hours a day to do the job as designed by the employer in exchange for money. So we basically are consultants in a way, in exchange for money that we need to have to buy groceries, pay rent, mortgages, and all the things that we need money for. So this is a critical issue. It's a cycle that needs to be, that needs to work properly for everybody. If you're not getting enough money because you're not particularly well trained to earn a job, to have a job that makes you a lot of money, well then you can beat on the company all you want, but unless you can be more productive in what you deliver, you're not going to make more money unless maybe you go to school and get another degree or certification or develop a trade or something that can meet your demands for more money. So it's something that, again, we bring up in our seminars, almost all of them, because most people kind of slide by this and they think of their job as just an automatic thing which is not really automatic. It's very integrally related to their lives.
Hey
So,
Ted, real
yeah,
quick, we're just getting a comment that you're breaking up a little bit. Um, So if you just keep going ahead, but just for everyone too, we are recording this so you can come back to it. But additionally, if there's a way that you can just keep going, but maybe a little bit slower, I think you'll be all right.
Lower down. Okay, good. I will do that. So the consequences of financial stress in the workplace, as you can see from the statistics, it impacts people at work. I mean, that's the reality. And of course, Price Waterhouse, again, from the survey, can document that. Um, all of this translates into signs that are familiar to all of us, the employer, the individual. All of this happens when you are not financially secure. You stress about money, so that builds into absences, more sick days than normal because you're not going to the doctor like you should. Too many loans from your 401k. Even having a 401k, sometimes people say, well, I can't afford to have one. It's kind of a tragic statement because once they stop working at some point in the future, what are they going to live on? Social Security that's going to pay $13, $15, $1,600 a month. Could a person today live? Well, they'd have to live on $1,600 a month. But hopefully, with workshops that we want to put on to educate people how they can make changes, how they can learn more about how to properly balance the economics in their life, maybe we can make a difference. And that's essentially our mission as a 501c3 nonprofit to help people make better decisions. So my thanks again to DJ and the Library Network for allowing us to bring this approach to the attention of the librarians that are attending, a program that we deliver without a sales pitch. Our presenters are not prohibited from soliciting clients in the seminars. So what happens for a lot of people is they change jobs. Today they call it the gig economy. Everybody's jumping around. Well, it's somebody jumping out of a skillet into the fire, trying to find more money, but without necessarily fixing the problems that caused the financial imbalance in the first place. And again, that's education, knowledge, knowing what you need to do to make those better decisions. So a lot of people are stressed, harming quality of life. There's Band-Aids. A lot of companies will offer programs. They might be to make it easier for the employees to go through, but unless those programs cause a behavioral change, a change in the way people handle their finances, it rarely, if ever, works. The solution requires three basic skills: math, dealing with the financial industry, and avoiding the bias thinking that impacts all of us. Basic math. Problem number one, basic math correlates debt management with wealth. People that are not financially astute or can do the math or understand that information well enough will make mistakes. As a consequence, they're not building wealth. They're not growing their portfolio. They're not saving for the future like they probably should. Central to this is the reality for a lot of people that have no sense, and this is something from FINRA, which is the Investor Education Foundation of the SEC, points out that in a survey that they did, 59% of the people got it right. That means 40% people got it wrong. The question that if you're earning 1% and inflation is 2%, after a year, how much money would you have in your account? I mean, how can you get that wrong? Getting that wrong is an indicator that people are not particularly knowledgeable in making a decision about their finances. And we see another example here with people that could not even do simple math. On $2 million, how do you divide that by 5? half of them couldn't get it right. I mean, that's kind of like, doesn't make sense, but it's real. The other problem is with the financial industry. The industry deals under the suitability standard of care, which is basically guiding their salesmen how to deal with clients, when in fact the clients should be receiving what's called the fiduciary standard of care. That's the standard of care that's ethics-based as opposed to the rules-based standard that the industry promotes to their salespeople. Under the ethics standard, the individual works for the client. Now, luckily, that's getting more and more, people are becoming more and more aware of the fiduciary standard in the marketplace. And our big message to consumers is to demand that the fiduciary standard be applied in the way that the salespeople deal with them. And if you ask for it, you'll get it. They will ask, they will conform to it because they have to. And if they don't, of course, find somebody that will. Otherwise, you're being taken advantage of and treated as a pure customer, the same way you would be treated if you went into a Lowe's to buy something, or from it, the stores. The number 3 problem is behavioral biases. And this is a tough one. Tough one. We all are subject to these. Optimism, overconfidence. We all have blind spots. We think we know stuff when we don't know. Well, that's how you can make a lot of mistakes. Emotional media focus. The media can drum up an issue, a negative or a positive, and next thing you know, people are jumping on the bandwagon, buying stuff, making decisions based on the influence of talking heads on TV, or the bandwagon effect when everybody starts jumping on the whether it be Bitcoin, or how you can become instantly rich doing certain things with real estate and spending money on seminars and learning how to become a landlord. I mean, a lot of crazy things out there that people jump on the bandwagon when they may not have the expertise to do what is being done. And of course, the status quo bias is the problem with people kind of like stuck in the way of their thinking and are not entertaining any different or newer ways of approaching the problems. So these are the different methods that people apply to changing the behavior. There's the internet, coaching. Coaching is great, but it's too late because you're coaching now somebody that's already made a mistake, had a problem. The web-based content is available. People do not seem to take advantage of it. And today, almost all 401ks have tons of workshops and lectures and things on the internet, and the 401k plan portal. Less than 5% of the people take advantage of those. So they're not working. People are not using them. PowerPoint presentations are great, but the lectures, seminars and lectures with workbooks. Some companies put out programs for they use high schools and universities to do seminars, and they charge a $35 fee or $39 fee for a very intense seminar that basically skims the surface of all the type of topics that a person might have concerns with. And those are essentially seminars designed as sales tactics. Out of those, people get clients, which is why they do them in the first place. What we found that works extremely well is the multi-layer hands-on workshops. People working with their own personal finances and being guided to make decisions and to think through the future decisions they might have to make seem to have more lingering success behavioral changes than all the other methods. And it kind of goes back to a little saying that you probably all may be familiar with. I hear, but I forget. I see and might remember. I do and I understand. And that basically allows for the multi-layered approach. The venues, schools now are forced to teach personal finance. cannot graduate without a course in personal finance. The problem with that is by the time that person leaving high school, by the time 5, 6, 7 years later, they have financial decisions to make, all the lessons that were learned in the 11th or 12th grade typically have not lingered or not part of their decision model. So it's not like it worked at all. In colleges, they try to do that, but not very successful. There are free seminars. We see it all the time and that's part of the issue for me that got me involved with the libraries and putting this thing together for the librarians, is that the libraries are being used as a place, an authoritative place for seminars on topics that are basically designed to get the participants to seek help from the presenter to become clients. So they're the basic client gathering, and to stop that is part of our program. What really works effectively are worksite programs. These are things that we as a nonprofit do for 401k plans, where we perform, develop, and deliver 401k education to the participants, which again is not tied to any sales. It's pure education. It's interpersonal. People get to do their own personal financial planning in class, which means they walk out of there having a plan that they actually developed, and then they can go to a salesman and get some help in implementing it. So the reason we're doing the seminar is we believe public libraries would be the ideal place, the ideal venue for financial education. And there's no reason they shouldn't be. And that's the whole impetus behind our Pharos Library Project. And it really goes back to something that some of you as librarians are probably familiar with. The slide on the left is a rendering of what the Library of Alexandria back in 200 BC would have looked like, where at that time, almost all of the world's knowledge was being stored. People from Rome and Greece and India and China, they were just the learning center of the world where people went to read and become more knowledgeable about things, which unfortunately was destroyed, and we lost everything that was there. But the other thing that was part of the Library of Alexandria, right next to it, was the lighthouse of Alexandria, referred to as the Pharos of Alexandria, which was built to guide sailors to avoid getting banged in the rocks that are close by when you come into Alexandria. So our vision, and it's a crazy vision. People think I'm kind of nuts doing this, but the vision here is, why not have the libraries become the focal point for financial education in the community? Become the lighthouse that people can have faith in the knowledge. So if they attend a seminar on how to do certain things with their finances, that they're really getting help, and they're not getting and they're not giving the person an opportunity to sell them something. So that's the whole story behind it. So it's a unique program, and it follows the ALA guidelines for best practices in service. You all got this document. I'm just putting it up to refresh your memory, to take a look at it. It's really only section 6 of the entire document, which is like 35 pages long. And these are the elements that they promote. And we, as it turns out, as a nonprofit educator, follow these things. Our programs are objective. They're accurate. We ensure privacy. We do not force disclosure or get into details of a person's finances in class. And partnerships, as we partner with organizations, which is what they recommend, the ALA recommends, they further recommend that this be a mutually beneficial entity or a relationship. From our vantage point, the benefit we're seeking out is to have the libraries that are involved with us allow our program to become known in the communities. So basically, what we are looking for is to build awareness of the programs that are available from Rochester Christian University and Cygnet Institute. The library, for its sake, then will become more known for providing higher quality or high quality programming. The point that they make here is that the library should utilize organizations, not individuals, and that's in line with what we do, which is basically to the library would be working with an entity, a nonprofit, and the university for programming. And you can see some of the other points. All of this is discussed in a lot more detail than I'm going through right now in the document that you received. And the key of it is prevent solicitation. That's key in our programs. Provide paced learning options, which we can do depending on the library's needs. Maintain boundaries. The library's role and of course our role are clearly different. A key for the librarians is the knowledge to know that Cygnet Institute has been certified as a fiduciary educator. And you can see this. We're basically the only entity in the country right now certified as a fiduciary educator for 401k plans and general education in the community in the 401ks. Our instructors are certified retirement counselors. So we don't use salesmen to do the workshops. They're certified retirement counselors. They pledge to follow the fiduciary standard. They agree not to solicit. In writing, they sign this. They demonstrate the critical thinking needed in decisions, in workshops. They do all the things that you see here, and they use content that we approve. So they're not allowed to just kind of bring in their own stuff and use it as, because most of the educational material available to the financial industry is designed to create a sales, some kind of a sales need. We avoid that. We currently are beginning this program by bringing into play the FDIC Money Smart content. These are awesome programs available from the SEC at no charge to us. Of course, we don't charge for these anyway. And they're very well done and they're maintained current. And you can see they provide a lot of, they're just simply state-of-the-art material that we do use that are not connected to a financial institution. And these are the 14 modules that are available, which are also contained in your handout that you received when you signed up for this class. So it's up to you as you look at this list later when you consider to select maybe one or two items that you want to work on, reach out to us and tell us what you're trying to do, and we can work out. A lot of those programs can be modified and maybe even brought together and joined. So, and we have the luxury that has been given to us by the FDIC people to modify these programs as we see fit to tailor it to the needs of the particular venue or the library, in this case, the libraries that want to put them on. There are 3 delivery models that we think, there may be others, but we could do an in-person workshop, which is kind of what we've done for the last 15 years. But that's difficult depending on the distances involved. And now that people have gotten used to online programming through becoming comfortable with Zoom, so we can do a Zoom program, and we can do that to the library's patrons, where the library can promote it, and people sign on, sitting in their homes, in their kitchen table, in their office, in their room, whatever, participating. Or you can do multiple library Zoom, bringing together branches or different libraries. Or if you have a training room in your library, a conference room that has a big screen, maybe invite people to come to the library, and then we can present to those people that are there at the library at the screen that you provide in your training room. The program is free to the libraries. It's funded by Cygnet. We fund this, and it's funded by the employers that use our training for the 401k plans, and that generates revenue for us in the university, so that that revenue is what pays for the free, no solicitations programs for libraries. And we're delighted to be able to, and it's a unique model. Unlike a lot of nonprofits, we do not have funding. We don't have funding programs in the traditional sense where we look for donations, though we'll appreciate donations, but that's not our lifeblood. Our lifeblood comes from actually employers and unions. We do a lot of work with the UAW and General Motors that pay for our training, and that training, the money they pay us for the training is what we use to do the workshops. So here's, like, in a summary sense, a workshop that we deliver or anyone delivers must have these 6 elements, should be part of it, to be successful. And we believe we do that in our own, and this is truly the best practices, which aligns pretty much with the ALA document that you have received. So I'm at the end of my program, and I've got plenty of time to have a discussion. I know I'm going perhaps too fast, and I hope I didn't. Well, if I lost somebody in the way, well, so be it, I guess. But maybe I'll need to learn to talk a little slower. I get overly excited about this program and maybe get carried away too much. But at this point, I'm going to stop because I've got no additional content to share, and be glad to answer any questions or engage in any discussion. Any of the participants, so I'm open, DJ and
So,
Rebecca and Maddie and Michelle and Lynn.
so if you have questions, feel free. You're welcome to come off mute. If you don't want to come off mute or you can't for some reason, feel free and drop questions in the chat. I will be happy to read them out loud.
We're available with a phone call. So if you're interested, even if you're not sure this makes sense for you, but parts of it may, feel free to give us a call. Set up a meeting, a phone meeting, a Zoom meeting, or a live meeting if you wish, depending where you're located, to discuss any of this. Because we have access, obviously we are leading with the, and let me go back to that. We're leading with the FDIC programming, but we have access. We've designed a lot of programs that we bring to the table, and we also have access to a lot of material developed by FINRA, the SEC, FDIC has some other stuff. The Federal Reserve, St. Louis Federal Reserve, has an excellent, a very robust program, and they have a lot of content and training. But it all comes down to the same thing: it's teaching people how to better manage their money. And there's only so many themes, but it depends how you want it spun. We can bring a lot of different things to the table. Your mortgages, how people maybe a lot of people are overpaying on their mortgage to get it paid down, which makes sense. But there's some really clever things you can do in accelerating your mortgage that are better for you if you knew how to do that. The asset allocation, how do you invest your portfolio? Well, there's certain things you can learn as we do in our portfolio design workshop to teach people how to manage their portfolio. Even though they don't want to become investment gurus, if they know how the system works, they can go to an investment guru and knowledgeably ask them for help. Much the same way you would go to Best Buy to buy a toaster oven, you kind of know what you want and you know how they work. So you can ask some intelligent questions, and you know, if you get a knowledgeable salesperson, you can make a decision because you know you're aware, you're knowledgeable of the program. So that's pretty much our mission as a
Then we've got a
nonprofit.
couple questions in the chat. I saw Michelle just made a comment that audio was cutting out. And just again, I am recording this. So if anyone needs to come back to it, it'll be on our YouTube page. Audio is coming in well for me, so I'm hoping that the recording will also come in well. Perfect. Um, and then Lynn asked, I may have missed the beginning, but what does the university have to do with the program? So maybe a little background in how
Sure.
RCU got involved.
Yeah, RCU signed an agreement with us. It's a partnership agreement that we provide financial literacy to them and through them to the public. They have a very key, keep in mind that Cygnet Institute is a very small nonprofit. Okay, we've done a lot of things for like 30 years, but we're still small. Nobody knows of that. So having a partner like Rochester Christian University, who is interested in the whole theme uh, of personal finance and how important that is, and they're devoting their resources as they've done now by helping us arrange this event through the library network, which would not have happened were it not for for Rochester Christian University. So that's their role. I work directly with the dean. He's responsible. He and I are the working parts of the two organizations. We're in the process of building and actually building a club, a personal finance club at the university. That hopefully, if it goes the way we're trying to make it go, it'll be a resource that can not only help other students in the university by training the club members to become purveyors of this information and teach them how to do that in like peer-to-peer training, but to also reach beyond the community, beyond the university, in the community at large. So I don't know if that explains it well enough. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, more specific questions.
I got a question kind of spinning in a different direction. So these are some of the options that people can choose for presentations. Are you noticing any, any ones that are coming up more often than others? Maybe things that people are more interested right now? Just maybe trends that people are really focused on.
Well, the thing the thing that most people are suffering with, two things, has to do with obviously cash flow and managing debt. So module 9 and 7, probably 8 and 7, uh, are, are are highlights, are are there. We did do buying a home. We have a younger, we had a group, one of the plants, the UAW plants, a lot of the new hires. Uh, this is of interest to them. Beyond that, it's kind of like a mixed bag. Uh, the one thing that resonates with most people is retirement, and that topic has gotten beat up so much that for a lot of people, when they see retirement, they're like, oh, they've had it, they don't want. So, but retirement is when you survey, if you were to go online and look for Price Waterhouse Coopers survey, just type that into the internet, Price Waterhouse Coopers surveys, and you'll see their annual survey. Retirement and investing are the two highest ranking things that people want help with. And now item 4 here, spending and savings plan. The wording of that probably would turn off a lot of people, but that's really nothing more than budgeting. How do you properly budget? And most people are do not, because they don't have a clue. Now we did design a program for the Auburn Hills here about a year and a half ago, that the Rotary Club of Auburn Hills put on for the community at large on budgeting. We call it a pizza and Ziploc program. It's an 8-week program. Uh, that went very well because it's kind of like it's hands-on. You can teach, you can give somebody a workbook how to do the budgeting, put the categories in there, and say, and tell them just go home and do that. Just track all your spending. Well, people don't do that. People are not going to go home. They might do it the first night, and after 2 more nights, it's done. Doesn't happen. That's reality. So what we did in this class, we created an 8-week program. For 8 straight weeks, people came in with their kids, actually, because we also had a module that we're teaching children economics, again, using FDIC content. So the parents would come in. We called it pizza and Ziploc because we brought in pizza, right? Everybody likes to eat. And particularly for younger parents that don't have the time to go home and take care of the kids, feed them, and then come to a workshop, we said, let's make it easy. So the pizza and Ziploc program is, but that takes a little planning and it requires some serious marketing. But to the extent you do it, the results were very successful for us when we did the one that we did. And I would offer that to you as another option, which is really budgeting, because people come into class every week. We give them a Ziploc bag, put all the receipts, that things they buy in the Ziploc, and bring them to class and dump out the receipts. We'll give them a form to fill out the form, what the money was spent on, and then we go through and do another lecture where we have a topic that we discuss in more detail about mortgages, insurance, all different. There's about 8 different topics that we bring up, estate planning. So that 1 and 2 punch over the course of 8 weeks really teaches people, again, that's the experiential part, right? How to really do a budget.
Okay, so I want to make sure we have a little bit of time before we wrap up. I know we have part 2 next week. Any notes that you want to let people know about before we wrap up as we get ready for next week?
Well, next week's program is really an overview of a program that any library could put on, that's kind of touches on, you call it connecting the dots between your life and your money. We call it the Fusion Seminar. And it really, I think you will find it extremely interesting, looking at the non-financial links in our lives that translate into how we manage our money.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you, Ted, for today. This was really great. I'm looking forward to next week, same time, same place. And in the meantime, everyone enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.